Okay, welcome to another edition of Now You Know, and we're coming off our summer hiatus and glad to be back again. I was telling John earlier, based on the weather this summer, we probably shouldn't have bothered with a summer hiatus because it was not the best weather, that's for sure. But Maine, you never know. Other than that, we got a hurricane coming, right? There's a possibility, so who knows? So today's show, very interesting show. I think you're going to find it to be that way. We're at Joe's Flatiron Cafe, 65 Water Street in Skowhegan, and we have the owner, proprietor, and whatever else you want to call yourself right next to me, and it's Joe Allman. So welcome, Joe. Welcome
How you doing?
to Now You Know. And, well, you have quite an interesting story. And it was kind of an interesting way that you got to where you are right now. And matter of fact, it was a very unfortunate misstep, literally, that led to ultimately Joe's Flatiron Cafe existing. So, and that was back, I believe, in July of 2022. You were just being a good Samaritan trying to retrieve a drone that had gone astray on the banks of the Kennebec River. And you stepped out a little bit too far and fell like 25 feet.
Yep.
And, of course, you don't remember all that. You were
not a bit
told what happened. But so tell us what happened. I mean, you really suffered major injuries from that. Yeah,
I mean, it was, well, I guess kind of going back, it was, nice, a day where local Main Street had given me a call. They're doing a promotional, they're helping somebody do a promotional video for the town of Skowhegan, and they were filming down on the gorge, and he had gotten a drone just stuck in the trees, just kind of like.
Sounds like a minor thing to me.
Yeah, it's like, but he had no clue how he was going to get it. So with a natural reaction from the people at Main Street, they're like, oh, I know somebody who can help us out here. And they gave me a call because, well, being on the fire department and just being.
You're on the board too, and you did special projects for them. And this was a special project. And so.
So it's kind of like, I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll come down and check it out. So I came down, met with the guy that got the drone stuck. He was showing me roughly where it was at. And then, so I decided, okay, well, I'm going to kind of check this area out and see what I need for gear, because I can go grab some rappelling gear, whatever I might need. And as I was out on the edge looking around, I don't remember it, but had a misstep and a branch broke and down I went. So it was kind of like...
You went down hard. So what type of injuries did you have, Joe?
Well, I broke both my wrists. I broke 3 ribs. I punctured a lung, did some other internal organ damage. I broke a bone in my face, which punctured my nasal airway, which had a little bit of injury to my brain. So, kind of stuff like that. And it was pretty rough.
Oh,
I was out for quite a while. Well, I shouldn't say out. I was probably, I think it was 24, almost 36 hours unconscious.
Wow.
In and out, nothing I remember, none of it I remember at all. But people told me waking up and different things.
And my understanding is Lifeline came and they got you and they brought you to Maine Medical. Center.
Down in Portland,
And you were down there for, 12 days?
12 days.
and you got told by your doctor, your neurologist, that, hey, Joe, your carpentry career and your firefighting career is basically over.
And pretty close. I mean, it was kind of like they're wondering, when I was in the hospital, they're kind of like looking at it going, we're not quite sure yet. And there's still more tests and stuff that needed to be done. So that kind of happened probably like a month after I got out of the hospital. They kind of made the determination, like, it's not really safe for you to go back to being a firefighter, because of the damage that you have to your airway and things like that. They're concerned that me wearing an air pack could cause some permanent damage and could make things worse. So they're like, you can't really we don't advise you going back. And it was kind of more of like, for your safety, you shouldn't do this anymore type thing.
So what did you do? I mean, here you were. I mean, you were, it'd been years with the fire department, and from everything I've heard, did a very credible job as a carpenter as well.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, those things are almost thrown out the window.
Oh, pretty dang close.
So what'd you say?
Well, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like all the things fall into place in a weird way.
Yeah.
So prior to me finding out 100% that I couldn't go back, and it was like we were talking when we kind of knew that most likely wasn't going to go back. I had come and met with Patrick Moore, which is the owner of 65 Water Street. He had bought the building and he was looking to renovate it. That was his main goal, like trying to figure out what to do with it and rent the space out. So he just shot me a text message and asked me, hey, I don't know if you're feeling up to it, but if you are, can you come down and just check out the space and see how, see how it looks, and kind of looking for some construction advice, and just kind of go from there. So we're down here walking around the space, looking and talking.
So he wasn't talking to you about a coffee shop at that point.
No, it's like, right. So when it was, during that thing, and towards the end of it, we're sitting there and he's like, oh, what do you think about opening up a coffee shop? Just kind of jokingly, we're just kind of throwing it out there, and kind of laughed about it. And then I was like, oh, I don't know, like not really doing too much, 100% buy-in on. I was like, oh, that'd be fun, because I've always enjoyed coffee. I've been doing different things with coffee for a really long time. Bought myself an espresso machine for my birthday, kind of like thing. So after talking about that, I told the wife about it, and we had a little discussion about it and didn't really think much of it. So the next day I was checking in with my neurologist and finding out more information about, what things were looking like. And that day, it was the day I kind of found out that, hey, nope, it ain't happening. You're not going back to being a firefighter. So it was like, okay. And we were driving down to my daughter's graduation, and we were like, what if I did a coffee shop? Like, I can't do these things that I've done before, but I really have passion for this, coffee and food and things like that. So why don't I just give it a shot? Like, see what we can make happen. And me and the wife just kind of looked at each other and said, what's the worst? What's the worst that could happen, right?
That's right.
Maybe a lot of debt and things like that, but no, whatever.
That's right. That's right.
But no, it was kind of.
So you decided to go ahead?
So we decided to go ahead. So then after that, we just kind of started putting it all together. They had one of the entrepreneurial challenges going on through Main Street.
Yes.
So I jumped in on that really quick and got into that, and being on the board, I wasn't allowed to compete for any of the money and things like that. So I just did it for all the information.
Sure.
So I just went through it, did, all that, learned how to speak in public, pitch my ideas, write a business plan. All those really good things really helped me out, and that kind of started moving this whole project forward.
Nice.
And then in those same kind of months, I was sitting there and figuring out how to, raise funds, because obviously, things aren't free. It takes money and all that kind of stuff. So one of the biggest parts was crowdsourcing. We talked about the GoFundMe page. We decided that we'd put up a GoFundMe page and see what it could do. It was like, we knew it was kind of an odd thing to raise money to build and start a business. But we were like, it's like looking at it a little differently, saying, well, let's get the buy-in from the community, right? If they're investing in me to open something that's going to be great for the downtown, so they're giving their $5, it buys them an investment in Skowhegan, in this place that we're trying to make. And so it did fairly well. We did, pretty decent.
From what I saw, near $19,000.
Yeah, about $19,000. Yeah,
which is not bad to start things out.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So we got that, and then we had a few people that helped by with just private donations, and others were just like, hey, I have a day off. You need help ripping and tearing and building. You know, they all came in and kind of did things like that.
Nice.
So that was kind of like really helpful. You know,
Any of your firefighter friends help you on?
Oh yeah, yep. All of them came down. Matter of fact, I take it way back. I mean, right when I got out of the hospital, I had quite a few of them. Basically, I'd say led by Rick Caldwell, that fixed up one of our downstairs bedrooms because I couldn't get up the stairs at that point.
Right.
It was just I wasn't capable of going upstairs to my room and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now, what have been the residual effects? You're obviously you did a lot of this carpentry work, but you probably weren't quite as fast as you used to be.
Well, and mainly it's just that lifting. It's like that heavy things and the strain and the fatigue over time. That took a little while to get used back into. I mean, recovery wasn't, you know, I got out of the hospital in 12 days, but I was still another 2, maybe 3 months out of where I actually could start doing stuff like pounding nails. I broke 2 broken wrists. You can't really pound nails, operate screw guns, or do much with your hands.
Oh yeah.
But you know, you could do a lot of the planning stages and stuff like that.
Okay.
But then it was slowly getting back into that and having some good friends that helped out in doing that work.
So take us through. It was like an 8-month construction period, right?
Yep.
And so kind of take us through that. I mean, I remember this, where we are now used to be, a lot of people remember it as the paperclip.
Right.
For many years. And this place looks vastly different than
it does. I mean, if you can kind of remember, it had, you know, like the commercial carpeted flooring. Yeah. It had bookcases that went down either side. Yeah. And then it was all covered in pegboard. Okay. You know, for like display stuff. And a lot of stuff that like we have behind us is like the chimney that was buried in the walls and some of the alcoves that we ended up discovering.
So you had to rip everything out.
Oh yes, we gutted everything.
And I remember looking in here, and this was right down to the
we took shell. It right down to the studs.
Right down to the studs. And then how'd you build it back up from there?
Well, yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of challenges that came along with tearing it down to the studs and looking at it. You know, the first major part of it was bringing it up to code, you know, structurally, and then bringing it up to code for fire safety.
Sure.
And so once we tore it all down, got things leveled out, the ceiling leveled out and all that, we started putting the drywall to it because our ceiling needed 2-hour fire rating, which is 2 layers of sheetrock with this like metal hat channel in between. Oh, wow. So it gives us 2 hours. So basically you put up a layer of sheetrock, you put mud and tape on, put this metal channel up, then put up another layer of sheetrock and mud and tape that. So it's like
a lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah, there's quite a few layers of sheetrock that went in here. But we insulated the building, spray foamed it, you know, leveled out things as best we can. You know, still to me, like on a building that's a little out of level and things like that, it's not that big a deal. It gives the building character. It's kind of still pretty nice. But, you know, we went through, did all that. And then went ahead and worked on the layout and kind of figured those things out to kind of get what we have here now.
And the layout is pretty amazing. It's actually quite open. It's very inviting. And we'll show further pictures around the floor here in a bit. But there's some very comfortable chairs in here and nice leather couches. And so the whole idea, right, is to make it into kind of a community space. Yeah. So people come in here and hopefully they buy something when they're in here, but they can also sit on the couch and hook into the Wi-Fi and do work or homework or, you know, whatever while they're
anything,
here.
You know, anything from...
And just general socializing coming in. And I remember seeing something where you were talking about the community had a number of different Facebook groups and so forth, but not very many actual physical places where people could get together and socialize. Right. So that was really a lot of your thought on this. Yep.
Well, that was kind of the thing. Like, you know, a cup of coffee kind of brings people together. Yeah. You know, kind of sit down, hang out, talk, you know, things like that. And super invited to all different people, no matter what your viewpoints are, or anything like that, because when we can actually physically talk to each other and have conversations, it seems to work out better than just, typing something on Facebook and seeing if you can get a reaction. Like, to me, that's not as interactive, right? It's a lot different when we can sit here and have a conversation and understand each other's viewpoints. We may not agree, but at least we can understand each other better than something on...
Rather than firing back and forth.
Right, yeah, because that just all it does is just gets everybody riled up for nothing when, of course those roses are red, right?
I've always found in face-to-face discussions that you can really have a better understanding, I think, of the other person's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Rather than, as I said, firing off these inflammatory lines on social media. So that's kind of
right. Anyway, yeah.
Behind what you're.
So that was kind of like the idea: is give it this place where people can come and meet, hang out, and not just obviously talk about things that are going on in the town, but people to come here, maybe have a first date where they're not, they don't want to be too invested in going to dinner or something, but they just want to meet up. First time meeting, let's have a cup of coffee. Easy way just to be able to communicate with somebody and not feel like you have this huge buy-in of, a whole dinner and obligations and all that. It's just a cup of coffee and a good talk.
It's a very relaxing place. And I'm looking across the way here, and you've got bookcases. So people can come in here and grab a book or a puzzle or, whatever you got over there and just kind of
hang out and
play, have a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something like that. And so forth. But the place is, honestly, this is very inviting, I think. I really like your hardwood flooring that you've got in here too, and just think you've done a very good job.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the product line that you have.
Well, so we use Coffee by Design, which is out of Portland.
Yep.
And one of the things in putting this all together is I wasn't necessarily had like a hard line of like we have to use everything that's from Maine or local or something like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted it, if we're going to use certain products like our coffee, if there's a good vendor that's in the state of Maine, like why don't we use it? And there's lots of different roasters in Maine, which I think is awesome. It's great, right? When being able to use something that's roasted right here, supporting another business is what I like, what other small businesses are about.
That's right.
And using other local products, like we use the bakery to make some of our goods, our bread, things like that. We're working with, we're going to work with Maine Grains with using some of their products. And I reach out and make connections all the time. I just had a lady that brought in dog treats from North Anson, and people are loving it, right? It's like people, when it's like, they're like, the dog treats. And then you say, they're made locally, they're made over in North Anson. They're like, well, then I'm going to buy two, right? Like, it's that kind of I have this more of a connection with that. And to me, people aren't really worried about what they're paying because it's sort of they feel good about this purchase, right?
Well, I've noticed a lot of cooperation among the downtown restaurants.
Yep.
Everybody is looking at it. I think if you're successful, I'm successful.
Exactly. I mean, I think Matt told me, he said it to a couple of people, but he goes, more is more, because the more we have going on, the more people we have downtown, the more that everybody will be successful. Because if people are walking around downtown and they're just going to the same place, they may get bored of it over time. Or maybe it's too long a wait here and they can go down here and get something. It gives people more options, and it allows them to.
There's definitely a more vibrant restaurant scene down here than certainly there was even a few years ago.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm going to leave somebody out here, but starting down the end here with the Old Mill Pub.
Yep.
You got Bloomfields, which is not a restaurant,
but right.
And then you've got and then you go up to the Bankery.
Yep.
And then you go up to Zap Thai Restaurant.
Yep.
You've got Miller's Table out just off the downtown.
Yep.
And you've got Unwind.
Yep. And then the new place. The River.
Candy store.
I'm gonna have a the River and Tea.
River and Tea place. That's right.
Darn it.
Yeah, Sorry, folks, we can't come up with that name.
River's Edge.
River's Edge.
There you go.
Would she hold up a cue card in the background? Okay. So
yeah, that's like, but it's nice. And then we've had a lot of other shops too that have popped up downtown.
We have
that are like making it. You know, the downtown is definitely a lot more vibrant than it has been in a really long time.
Well, in another, I guess it's 2 years now, but another 2 years they'll have the where Solar Manufacturing was open, and then you'll have Bigelow Brewing is going to have at least a tasting room.
Yep.
Although somebody said something about a restaurant too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's all.
Multiple reports.
Right. Well, we'll know when it opens, kind of thing. And they're going to have a small hotel down there too, which is
and
great.
Apartments.
Right. So it's going to definitely bring a lot more to the downtown,
so
a lot more foot traffic. Yep.
Vibrant downtown city.
Yep.
That's the hope, right?
Yep.
So you're going to be a big part of it, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah. So let's tell us a little bit more. We've talked a little bit about the coffee part.
Yep.
But let's kind of go through the menu and so.
Yeah.
You're open. Pretty consistent hours. You're 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yep.
Monday through Saturday. Right?
Yep. That's for right now. For the next 6 months, that's our biggest goal. Is we're looking at collecting as much data and much information as we can on our hours to kind of help us, is 6 to 6 working? And so far so good. Like, people are enjoying having the earlier hours. There's lots of people that have to be to work at, early in the morning, and they're able to stop in and grab stuff. And I've been fairly comfortable with it so far. So we're hoping to keep that. But
well, after 6 months, you'll kind of evaluate and see what other things you may want to do.
Right. What we may want to do, if we need to adjust hours, if there's a need that we're not seeing that maybe we can kind of fill in, things like that,
Okay.
So, but anyway, I was going to say, is like talking about kind of like the menu and food like that. So our menu is super basic right now. We're mainly focused on getting our coffee drinks, the different lattes and iced coffees and teas and things like that. That's one of the main kind of drivers for us. But we're also offering food. We have things from the baked goods from the bakery, like cinnamon rolls and coffee cake. We're also bringing in bagels from Original Bagel Company out of New York. We're still looking for that like local vendor that can help us with getting bagels locally.
You're like the only, tell me if I'm wrong, you're like the only bagel place downtown, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, nobody else really sells bagels, local companies that I know of. There are places around the area that are, a little outside of town that sell bagels, but but anyway,
Yeah. But it's good to have.
But right. So, and then we've started off with a fairly simple menu. We have some breakfast sandwiches that we do, and some like fruit and yogurt parfait and things like that. And same with lunch. We have some lunch sandwiches. And we kind of started off nice and simple because, one, I am super new to the restaurant industry. I've never even bust a table at a restaurant. But I cook at home all the time. I'm very passionate about food and things like that. So I didn't want to overwhelm myself with trying to, learn myself on how to prep and make all these things in that style of environment, and 2, try to teach somebody else, try to teach, my employees on these things. So our goal, small menu, add to it, build it as we go, find out what works, find out what doesn't work, and kind of see more of what people want. So realistically, stay tuned and keep an eye out on our Facebook page and things like that when we're going to start introducing new, breakfast and lunch items.
So you have a limited breakfast menu and a limited lunch menu. What are some of them?
Mainly, like, one of the biggest things that we have is our ham, egg, and cheese on an English muffin with sriracha mayo. Is probably the most popular sandwich we have going for breakfast right now. And then we have a pastrami egg and cheese with tomato on a whole wheat sandwich, which is also good. The pastrami is excellent. It's probably around lunchtime, is one of our bigger sellers. People really love the grilled cheese and pastrami sandwich. That's probably, probably one of the biggest sellers. It's a good flavor,
Yeah, good.
It's simple, it's an easy sandwich to come in and grab. It doesn't take us too long to prepare it. So people that are kind of in a hurry to get back to work or just want to grab something quick, the grilled cheeses and grilled ham and cheese sandwiches kind of work out well that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it looks good. I mean, I saw something one of your customers had. He had 2 big sandwiches. So I said, you need more customers like that, Joe. So, but yeah, looked very inviting. I've had a couple of your breakfast items. I've had the mini Danish.
Oh, the mini cinnamon rolls?
Cinnamon rolls, that's what I meant. Yeah, mini cinnamon rolls and coffee cake.
In coffee cake,
I had that. And I certainly had plenty of coffee. So, and the coffee by design, I think, is quite good.
Yep.
So, one of the other things you got right behind me, you got all these different flavorings, right?
Yep. Those are kind of like mainly a lot of the lattes and stuff like that. That get the different flavorings. We have quite a few options. Some of the more popular ones are like we have an Almond Joy latte, which is pretty popular.
Yeah.
And it tastes just like eating a Almond Joy candy bar.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which is oddly, I shouldn't say oddly popular because I had a pistachio latte at another coffee place a while ago, and I've always liked those flavor combos, so we ended up getting a pistachio syrup, and I just bought 2 bottles of it and realized that right off in the first day when we sold out of that, it was kind of like, okay, well, I need to order a lot more of this because it is one of our more popular items, because it's not overly sweet, but it has that nice pistachio nutty flavor, and it pairs really well with the coffee. Mm-hmm. So we have all these great syrups. They're not overly sweet. They're not. They're made with a lot of natural ingredients. There's not all these artificial flavorings. So they're really good. Really. Yeah.
So you're part of the building here. You occupy most of the first floor, and out behind you is Skowhegan Outdoors. Equipment area, and then upstairs is Main Street Skowhegan's offices. So it's either Main Street Skowhegan or businesses related to Main Street Skowhegan that occupy the building now. Patrick Moore bought it a couple years ago.
Oh, it's got to be 2 years now. Pretty close to 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he envisioned exactly all the things that are going on.
No, I mean, he had, there's some idea because it was kind of like, there's kind of like some talks in the beginning about, Main Street possibly moving in here and doing their base camp, and there was some ideas thrown around. So that was kind of really early on. But for the coffee shop thing, that was kind of later and just kind of came, a little bit later.
So you're getting many suggestions on other things you could do, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to see some more gluten-free options. And some vegan options. The one thing that I keep talking about and just need to kind of get it up in gear is the tacos, because people are like, love tacos. Tacos are great, right?
Yeah, tacos are
So breakfast tacos, lunch tacos, and working on some recipes right now that will be coming down the line that will start kind of playing into that, maybe starting it out like on a, doing the whole Taco Tuesday type thing in the beginning, but then maybe make it more consistent and add it something that can be there more often.
Those are not real complicated things.
No, they're not complicated things, but to me it's like you want to have a good flavor profile there, right? You don't want just to kind of throw some meat and some cheese, and even throwing meat, cheese, and some vegetables in there, you're pretty well set, right? But,
that's right.
But it'd be nice to have something that's kind of like a signature thing here that somebody couldn't just go grab somewhere else, right? So
now, when are your busiest hours? I mean, you open up pretty good stead at 6 a.m. in the morning.
6, yeah. So realistically, it's kind of switched a little bit because of school starting back up, but we've noticed basically between 9 and 1 o'clock is probably our busiest time. That's when we see the most customers come in. And it's kind of interesting that it's more consistent. It's not necessarily like there's this big surge of people that come in before work or for lunch. It's pretty consistent throughout the day. So it kind of shows me that, there's people's schedules are a lot more flexible than they used to be.
Well, I was going to say, you certainly got the early morning crowd, whether it be the hospital or the teacher group or some of the mill workers and so forth? Do you see some of that when you first open?
Yeah, so we'll see, like nurses and stuff, they'll come in and grab things in the morning, or they'll send somebody over and I'll, make up like 6 or 7 different drinks for them to take back. So there's definitely that kind of stuff going on.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so.
Excellent, yeah. So as I said, this place is very inviting. You've done I think, a fabulous job fixing this place up, and it just feels like, you're going into a living room or something and just sitting down in a real comfortable atmosphere.
Well, that was kind of the idea. I wanted to keep as much traditional aspect of the buildings, of the building in place, just so it made it feel like it's been here.
Yep.
But at the same time, I wanted to add a little modern flair. That's why you got like the blue that completely goes over, floor to ceiling, takes over. Yep. And then with some of the pops of color and artwork, but then kind of like some of the traditional looking furniture type things. So.
Yeah. Now, why don't you? I know right now you're still evaluating things,
yep.
and trying to see what works and what doesn't work. But do you have like a vision, Joe, in the future that you'd like to take this place to?
Well, realistically, the main thing obviously is making this that hub where people can come do their work, and be able to be here, during the day. Yeah. We would like to expand some Friday and Saturday night hours, maybe pursuing our liquor license at some point. We are mainly kind of sticking on the side of more like a mocktail sober bar situation, like not completely kicking away the whole liquor thing, but if we
You're not competing with the bars.
Right. So it's a little bit different atmosphere for people that just kind of want to come and hang out and maybe have an afternoon like appetizer and dessert, either while they're waiting for their table maybe at the pub, or while they're, after they've gotten out of a movie or something like that, just to kind of a place just to chill, relax, have a mocktail or some sort of cocktail that they could have, but make it all encompassing so that, if somebody comes in and has, some sort of cocktail, that the person sitting next to them can have this mocktail that has no alcohol in it, and not make the alcohol the driver, just that social aspect more of the driver.
Well, you could be kind of a lead-in to somebody. They could come here for a drink or a coffee or something like that, and then go out to eat at one of the other restaurants.
Yeah, most definitely. So,
yeah,
it's kind of like kind of the idea. That's kind of like the overall vision, Yeah. And maybe adding in some family nights too, where we can have maybe like 1 day or 2 days every month where it's like just all family oriented type activities where families can come in, bring their kids, maybe play games or, do something.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, I think the future is bright for you.
Thank you.
And, by the way, what's your wife think of the venture now? Of course, when he was referring to the wife a few times earlier, the wife is, for those who are not much in the know, I guess, is Christine Allman, who is the town manager of Skowhegan.
Yep.
So did she approve of this?
Well, it's funny because, it's always interesting because you have like Christine, the town manager, and what her role is in the town. And then it makes it a little bit of a challenge because there's all these things that are out there for people to help get businesses started, that there's a huge whole list, which they could go see Patrick about. And, if anybody else is looking to start a business up, can find all this information. But it's kind of restricted when you're part of like Main Street and you have your wife that works for the town. So you can't really
you can't like too much favoritism.
Right. You don't want people to be thinking, well, they gave him a whole bunch of money because his wife's the town manager, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so it did make it a challenge, and it was there was a lot of discussion in the beginning about how we're going to navigate that kind of thing and keep things, making sure that everything looked good and that people weren't thinking that we're pulling a fast one or something like that, whatever. But no, the discussion was good, and she was glad that I had come up with something that I could be passionate about, and been super supportive the whole time about moving this venture forward.
Well, it looks good thus far, and I suspect you're gonna earn it on your merits,
Right.
ultimately. And I think you're off to a good start.
Thank you.
So very good. We're going to. There's a part 2 to this show. We're going to talk with somebody from Main Street Skowhegan, who is going to talk to us a little bit about the Skowhegan Outdoor
The base camp.
program. Give me the name again.
It's base camp, so it'll be the Skowhegan Outdoors, and they're going to have
the individual involved.
Tinley.
Tinley. Because
Yep.
of my age, I
Yeah.
forget names pretty easily. So, are you Tinley? Oh, Tinley's in the background here. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to have Tinley on here in just a minute, and we'll
Perfect.
talk to her a little bit about Skowhegan Outdoors.
Awesome.
Okay, ready when you are.
Okay, here we are, part 2 of the show, and we've slightly changed our venue. We're now in the back part of the downstairs, and I have Tinley. I mastered the first name. Now tell me what your last name is.
Sure, yeah. I'm Tenley Schofield. I'm the
Schofield.
operations manager
Okay,
at Main Street Skowhegan. I
okay.
work with our president and CEO, Christina Cannon.
Cannon.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we are sitting in what would be the gear room, I guess, for Skowhegan Outdoors. Excuse me. It's under construction, but
That's
it
right.
looks as though it's coming together pretty
That's
nicely.
right.
So tell me, what's this all going to be?
Yeah, so the vision is, we have a vision of a base camp. That's the name of the space.
Yeah.
And what base camp is a place where community members can get gear to do outdoor activities.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? So it's like a library.
Okay.
You come in, you check out your gear, and you go off and do activities. It's really quite a program that we offer to the people of Somerset County. It's entirely free.
Okay.
So this gear lending library is just like a library that you take the gear for free. You're welcome to take it out, use it on your own, with your family, individually, whatever. Or you're also welcome to use gear when we're doing a program and maybe you're not fully equipped.
Yep. Now by getting the gear or signing up for the gear, you just can't waltz in off the street and do it in 2 seconds, right?
That's
There's
right,
a little
yeah.
bit of a waiting period.
Yeah, well,
involved.
we like to give our staff about 24 to 48 hours
Okay.
to make a reservation, get the gear together. Currently, we have things in several different locations.
Okay.
We're not all under one roof. And it also, with staffing and whatnot, it gives us a chance to make sure that we have your gear ready for you when you arrive.
Okay.
So, and maybe in the future, as we envision how things will operate when we're finished, it'll be a lot easier for folks to walk in and say, hey, I need to run a bike. I want to ride, some of the local trails. May I borrow one of those bikes? And there it is on the
So
wall.
beyond bikes, what are we talking about for gear?
Gear,
It sounds
yeah.
like you had tons of different types of
All
gear.
seasons. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
gear for all seasons. Let's start with winter.
Okay.
Cross-country skis, snowshoes.
Yeah.
We do things like that. We move into spring and summer. We have paddle boards, kayaks, canoes, camping equipment. Need a sleeping bag. You need a bedroll, backpack. We got that. Moving into fall. Same kind of gear that you can use. Round the clock,
Sure.
around the calendar. And then
Now, I assume you have to sign some liability form, don't you? That
there's some
says
administrative
if
tasks
I'm
that we take care
go
of.
out and I fall off the paddleboard and hit my head. That
We're not liable.
Skowhegan Outdoors of all
Correct.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at, we're sitting here in front of a countertop, and this space is also going to be our mountain bike and repair. I didn't mention mountain bikes, but some of the gear that we have is mountain bikes. So we have a fleet of those. And we have Mitch Bueller, who is all trained up to do bicycle repair and maintenance. So he can
nice.
maintain our bikes, our fleet of bikes. And looking toward the future to help fund this space, we'd like to offer that as a service to the community, where folks can bring their bicycles in and do a tune-up or do some basic repair work here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's nobody in Somerset County currently doing any of that kind of work. So it'll be a big help to the
Back in the
local
old days,
community.
there used to be bike shops, but
Yeah, you don't see them so much anymore.
not anymore. And that would be nice to have.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Oh, so that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Now this is giving people the opportunity to try out all sorts of equipment at no charge.
Mm-hmm.
So this makes it a nice equitable situation where if you don't have a whole lot of money to spend, at least you can come in and try things out.
Yep. You know, we've learned through some of the surveys and data collected across the state, but countywide, that, and we're not the only county, but we sometimes have poor health outcomes in our main communities. And this is one way that Main Street Skowhegan and Skowhegan Outdoors can encourage outdoor recreation for general physical and mental health and well-being. And by not having fees associated with it, it makes it within reach of everybody.
Well, you guys kind of work in, excuse me, talking about health outcomes, with, excuse me, Somerset Public Health.
Correct, one of our partners, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of your partners,
Yep.
Move More Kids.
Move
that
More
type of
Kids,
stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
So we have currently Ben Keeler, who is our lead coordinator for Skowhegan Outdoors,
Yep.
and then some of his staff. Charlotte Allard last year did a lot of work with Move More Kids, and we had programs going out every weekend. So it could be a mountain hike, you know, or it could be a visit to Popham Beach.
Yeah.
Take a group down there and take a walk and explore the old fort ruins and whatnot. Move More Kids has taken a group out to a farm for farm day in the spring and see the animals and ride a horse and do, you know, just again,
nice.
being outdoors and moving people. And the beauty of like Move More Kids program is that people are being physically active without really thinking about it because of the type of activity that we're doing.
And you guys have tons of things going on. I think last year it was like 169 different
That's correct.
programs for like 1,800 people.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a lot of activity going
It
on
is.
around here.
Yeah, so Ben and his team, they have a monthly calendar which gets distributed via email. Anybody interested in receiving the Skowhegan Outdoors calendar can visit the Skowhegan Outdoors website and sign up for that. But what that calendar does is it's a schedule of anything from a whitewater paddling clinic to a canoe strokes clinic to a mountain hike. Forest bathing is something that's become real popular. Yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to do things that reach a wide audience. You know,
Yes.
mountain biking, you know,
Oh yeah.
any of
Very
that.
popular.
Yeah. So every month there's a schedule with 2 to 3 days a week of an outdoor activity that people can participate in.
Yeah. And now this all started, I think, back in 2019.
Correct.
This was an AmeriCorps
Yeah.
program that Main Street Skowhegan signed up with.
That's right. So Main Street Skowhegan is the organization, the umbrella organization, and Skowhegan Outdoors is one of our programs. You talked a little bit with Joe about Patrick Moore, and our
Yeah.
Center for Entrepreneurship
That's
is
right.
another program. But yeah, today we're talking about the Outdoors program.
Yeah. Well, this is certainly going to be a good base camp, I think, when it's all done. Can you kind of, I see all the cabinets and then this biking area and all this stuff, but what's this kind of going to look like when you're done?
So we talked about this space right here with the maintenance cabinets, you know, the tools on the wall, and you know, you can just envision Mitch maybe down here working on a bike. Over on the walls, there'll be various cubbies where you can pull out a helmet to go mountain biking or paddling. There'll be paddles and a kayak or two on display, some bikes on display. We hope to have some nice comfortable seating, some maybe work tables. We talk about vision. What do we expect or hope this place to be someday?
Yeah.
And I think, Skowhegan is all about community and bringing the community together, young and old. And we want our space to be a place that attracts people who love the outdoors, whatever that means. So we envision perhaps students get out of school, maybe they have some homework, and they've been through our programs, and they think that our trip leaders are great and really cool people to hang out with, and they love the outdoors. So perhaps they come down here with their homework and sit and work together. They need a mentor perhaps to help them with some of their schoolwork, and we're happy to do that. And maybe after they finish that, they grab a bike and go for a ride.
Nice.
Or, we have a program down here. We maybe have some guest lecturers and we talk about hiking, or people share their experiences. Local community members come in and talk about their experiences. Come in, borrow gear, just hang out. Have a coffee.
Have a coffee.
Have a coffee, bring it over.
This all kind of ties in together.
It
then,
really
huh?
does, yeah. It just makes a really nice, comfortable, interactive space for the community.
Well, excuse me, one of the things you're going to do is rent out cross-country ski equipment and so forth. And we have, within almost walking distance of where we're located today at 65 Water Street, a number of cross-country trails that Somerset Woods
Yes.
and others have. So do you guys have any trip-led things on some
Absolutely.
of these trails?
Oh yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of our programs happen very locally, like literally within walking distance. And others we branch out into the larger Somerset County and Greater Maine area. But yeah, when you mention the trails, something that Skowhegan is looking at right now is we have about 50 miles of hiking and biking and walking paths in town. And there is a committee that's looking at how we can integrate all those various trails, connect them for safe passages. And in connecting, that'll probably involve some of the roads and whatnot. But it's all about making this community more active,
Yeah.
on foot, by pedaling, and instead of going to run an errand in your car, let's make it safe and easy to walk. An example, today, my office is upstairs, and I'm taking advantage of the Farm Drop program, which is another whole story, but it's like a little online market that we
Yeah.
have here in Skowhegan. And so I ordered some produce and some frozen items that I had to go pick up. And it would have been easy to jump in the car. It was not a great day, but I could easily walk over there, walk back. And that's the kind of activity that we want to encourage in the community.
And, I was talking earlier about Somerset Public Health, but they certainly are involved in trying to get better outcomes.
The health outcomes. Yep.
Because our general health in Somerset County is not that wonderful.
No, some of the worst in this state, unfortunately.
That's right.
And yet we look around and we have these wonderful resources. We have a river that runs through our downtown. We have trails surrounding our downtown. And so and a lot of times people just aren't aware. Oftentimes people live in the community, they just aren't aware of the beautiful network of trails that we have and the beautiful resources that we have right at our fingertips. Or in the case of the river, it's here, but it's a little difficult to access. So looking towards the future, the River Park, which we're currently in permitting, which is very exciting. So it will be happening. But when we envision that in our community with a nice walkway along the edge of the river where anybody can view activities going there, a nice, gentle slope to a stairway that takes you safely down to access the river. Again, it just makes things much more accessible to the community.
And just walking out your back door, you've got a nice deck, and I guess before we went on the air, you were talking about people being able to come in here and get their canoes and paddle boards and haul them right out to the river.
That's right. Yep.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Yep. So, the future of Skowhegan with outdoor recreation is only going to grow, and it's just an exciting thing for the community to look forward to and for us to support.
And just a little bit more, I guess I got into what's this place going to look like here in another 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, hopefully sooner, but yeah.
Sooner, yeah.
We're on a roll.
Yeah.
So like we talked about the gear on the wall and people coming in and out and general business hours. We haven't quite hammered out those details yet, but we expect that we'll have people here staffing the space for general business hours Monday through Friday.
You're by appointment right now, right?
But we're definitely by appointment. Yep. Just get in touch, and that's the thing. The ease of it. Just get in touch with us and make your reservation, and we'll have the gear ready for you.
How do they get in touch with you?
through the website,
Yep.
and then, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Are people taking advantage of that?
Well, you mentioned the 169 programs
Oh,
and
yeah, but
1,800 participants.
It sounds like it,
and,
yes.
And, it's fun for me because I have an office position, but I talk to a lot of these people on the phone, or they're making arrangements to pick up gear. And it's surprising the number of people that take advantage. And I love to hear the stories. So when somebody brings back gear, if I happen to take it in, it's like, so how was your day with the skis? And one in particular comes to mind. It was a grandmother who had borrowed skis for her and her more adult grandchildren.
Yep.
But they had gone out for a day of cross-country skiing and never really had done anything like that. But together they learned. She said they laughed so much, they had so much fun, and they spent a day out in the winter exploring once they got the hang of it, and they just had a blast. And she thanked us because she said that's something we would never have done if it weren't for the Skowhegan Outdoors Gear Library.
That's right, and they can get it for free.
For free.
For free,
Yeah.
so why would you not
Exactly.
want to take advantage of that? I guess the question is, in some of this stuff, I mean, you're getting more and more stuff donated, but not, certain things that different size requirements. So it's probably, if you got somebody who's 6 feet 5 inches tall, you might not be able to use your certain cross-country skis.
It's surprising what size range we have.
Yeah.
So, we do take in some very gently used gear. We like to keep, our gear needs to be very serviceable. But we also receive grants where we are able to purchase. We recently purchased canoes last year and some mountain bikes with some grants that are allocated specifically for outdoor recreation equipment.
Yeah.
So we do, our gear is pretty good shape. It's nice stuff. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what else can you tell us?
About Skowhegan Outdoors?
What's the future with Skowhegan
Yeah,
Outdoors?
we have so much excitement planned. We're looking at how do we integrate regionally. Tourism becomes a part of what we do. We hope that Skowhegan Outdoors becomes like a pillar in the community. When people come to Skowhegan to visit, that they find us. And again, if they don't have gear, they can get it here. If they do have gear, we're a resource where you come in and maybe you don't know where to go hiking. And you can come in and ask any one of our team members. Cool thing is we have currently, I know Ben is a registered Maine guide.
Yes.
And a whitewater enthusiast and specialist.
Yeah.
And Marissa, if she hasn't already taken her test, she's going to be taking it any day now. So we'll have 2 Maine guides on staff that can share all kinds of expertise and make recommendations on where to go recreate in the area. But, to start to think of this Kennebec Valley region as a destination for people who want to get outdoors and stop driving through Skowhegan and stop in Skowhegan and enjoy some food and enjoy the resources that we have.
Well, we certainly got a nice big river in our backyard and right out your back door. And it would be nice to take more advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And that's been one of the issues with the town over the years.
Yeah.
We probably have, I think I've said this on other shows before, but we have probably one of the prettiest views from our gorge of a river of any place in the state of Maine.
Yeah.
But we haven't always taken advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, when you think about the history of the rivers in the state of Maine, and they were often, bordered by factories or mills, and it was almost like they were back facing to the river.
That's right.
Think about the buildings on Water Street. And the front faces the street, which they would, but the river's always been a backyard and sort of ignored, and the rivers weren't always very clean, when we were using them for industrial purposes. But now they've been cleaned up, and they are a beautiful resource. And I think that when we think about the future of the river park, is that Skowhegan will start to turn its face towards the river.
Yes.
We just, we held our River Fest and Brew Fest.
Yeah, you moved
This
it out.
summer,
How'd that work out?
Wonderful. And nothing but positive feedback about the venue, using that space, that river-adjacent space that we're learning to embrace, and really enjoy. It's a wonderful resource that we've ignored for far too long.
Well, I mean, it's a little prettier venue than just Water Street and Skowhegan.
Yeah. And, and so many other advantages. We didn't have to deal with stopping traffic and rerouting
right.
traffic. And people were here. It got hot, a couple times during the day with the sun up, and people talked about, I could go along the fence and stand by the river and feel that nice cool breeze.
Yeah, there's a little cooler out here.
Yeah. So,
yeah, now that was I wasn't at this one, unfortunately, but I've been at a couple others that have been out on Water Street, and sometimes it gets pretty darn hot out there on the pavement.
Yeah,
so,
and no way to get a breeze through there
That's
or anything.
right.
So, it was really nice. A little more space, a lot of support from the local businesses. So that was key too. Prior to moving anything out there, Christina went around and I myself talked to a few business owners, and just a lot of positive support. So, yeah, it's all good.
well, that certainly is an ingrained program in the area now. I forget what year was that. How many years have been doing it?
That I can't tell
At least
you.
5 or 6 anyways, I think.
Yeah.
And it certainly has been a big hit.
It's something people look forward to now every summer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every Labor Day weekend,
yes,
right? So,
yes.
Perfect. Well, I guess, Tinley, I'd like to thank you very much for being
coming.
on. Now you know, we wanted to have somebody from Skowhegan Outdoor on for a while, and glad we kind of tied it in since we were in the area with Joe Allman and Joe's Flatiron.
Yeah.
Being right next door, it was perfect.
Well, we're thrilled to share
here.
the space. It's not finished, but now you get to start to get a sense of what it will be very soon.
Well, maybe we'll come back in a few months and see what the finished project is at that time.
Awesome.
So once again, Tinley, thank you very much for your time. And now you know.